Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 19 of the Crubcast. My name is Kevin, also known as the Golden Bolt, and I'm here with three of my fellow co-Crubbers today, including right above me on screen on the YouTube feed, Moriarty. Hi, Em. How are you today?
Every day is a holiday. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're not welcome. We're also here with, on the YouTube feed, once again, the PS3 copy of Mag, known as Brody. Hi, Brody.
Bring the servers back online.
And the host, he just threw me through a loop here. I can't. That broke me. And also the host of today's episode, Wolf Chaos-san, also known as Sean. Hi, Sean. How you doing, bud?
That's me. How's it going? I am doing quite all right. I decided to take pre-workout before all this, so I'm ready to just run through a freaking wall.
I'm going to translate that because your internet chose to specifically as we started the podcast freeze frame you a bunch. He drank a bunch of pre-workout, and so he is very wired for this episode of the podcast. I think you're okay now. I think we just jinxed it the moment that you started speaking.
I don't understand because my internet's fine. I have full bars. Anyway, yes, I took pre-workout before I came onto here. So let's freaking go. Anyway, but I'm doing well outside of that. So I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 because I freaking love that game. Am I glitching out again? Am I joining the Matrix?
No, you're good currently. Okay,
I want to destroy that. But so I was thinking of topics to come up with, and I was talking to some of my friends about Baldur's Gate. I was actually talking to both Em and Brody in our one Discord, and we were discussing how we got this owlbear to join our party and whatnot. And it kind of made me start to think wow, everyone kind of has these different experiences within RPGs. So I was like, all right, here's what I wanted to talk about. When you play an RPG, whether that be Skyrim, Baldur's Gate, what have you, games with a bunch of different choice options, do you play as if you yourself were in that world? Or do you go about all right, I'm going to play a certain type of character? Because what I realize is I always play as myself in those games. So I was just curious. Brody, what do you do? Mag?
It depends. I would say that most of the time, my first playthrough of any given game is usually what I would do. Unless I'm playing a game where it's a very binary, Infamous style good or evil choice, because then I'll pick one early on and just stick with it. Usually I just go with evil because it's let's see how evil they actually let you be. But when it comes to the games with more nuance, I tend to just pick whatever I would do, unless I'm playing the game for the second time. Because if I'm playing for the second time, then I go, okay, well let's see what's different, or let's pick a way to do it that might not be where I go with it. Like Disco Elysium, I started that game. I played a whole playthrough of a very high psych, high intellect. I wanted to talk my way through that game, and then afterwards, months went by. I tried, and I went, I want to go back and play that because I never actually really totally finished it. But I don't want to have the same experience because that's a lot of reading. So I went to a really high strength and dex kind of playthrough, basically, and it is so different, and you just get to be this absolute mess of an alcoholic, drug addict, noir detective that at one point I ended up not paying my bar tab, running away, jumping, doing finger guns, and crashing into someone in a wheelchair, and I'm like, this would have never happened in my other playthrough.
Yeah.
It's cool to see those differences, but I would say that unless I don't know, with Baldur's Gate, I started it co-op with my buddy, and I'm just kind of playing a character and kind of making choices that I would make, and just generally I want to do anything that sounds interesting to me, whereas he's playing a paladin and being more okay, let's make responsible decisions. And I'm well, that's not fun. So whenever I get to be the one conversing, our playthrough can go a little off the rails, which is nice. But then with, I started a playthrough also with my wife, and I'm okay, well, I already have my character in one playthrough where I'm just kind of being myself. I'm going to play a funny little guy. I'm going to play a funny little bard gnome guy and just basically be a shit disturber, which isn't that different from what I'm already doing.
Yeah.
But it's more of like a commitment to the bit.
I do have a question, Brody.
Yeah.
How do offline PS3 games get married?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have to go through the court system, which isn't really designed for it these days, but like we'll get there. Like progress is being made.
Oh, I'm glad.
Okay.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna vote for that in the next election. I'm gonna make sure the person I vote in, they are pro mag marriage.
It's going to be AI imposter Bernie Sanders is pro PS3 copy marriage.
Mag is actually short for marriage.
Where's the R?
That's why it's short.
It's like how what's Mags is short for Marge, isn't it, or something like that?
No, that's Midge.
Midge is short for Marge.
Madge?
Thank you. That's I got it wrong.
But I do
So
I
are
do find
you a
it
polygam mag, Brody?
Yeah.
Like, do you
No.
marry 256 players?
Yeah. You know, Jesus Christ.
I feel like he's actually turning red right now. You need to.
Yeah.
You know,
I
as
mean,
a
I know-
top view
I-
on that mag
I know
strap.
my wife's watching this right now.
I need
so
the M and the G to be like rosy cheeks, Brody.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, come on, fix it. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
waiting.
Oh, let's see if I can get that. Hold on.
Oh,
I mean,
wait,
no, hold on. Keep talking. Don't
While he
pause
does
this.
that,
Keep
quick
going.
reminder for those of you that are tuning in the audio realm, we also have a video version of this over at youtube.com/@CrubOfficial. Goes up at the same time. You can see all of our pretty faces and M's VTuber model and a copy of Mag.
How dare you?
You can also see some of our exclusive sidecast discussions, including stuff about the new season of Futurama, the Pokemon DLC, Starfield, etc., and a bunch of other fun stuff. So hit subscribe over on the YouTube if you're on the YouTube feed and you want this in audio forms. Stay subscribed, but go to crub.org and you can find all of our audio podcast platforms there. Leave a nice review. Leave a comment of niceness or not niceness. I don't really care. They all get us paid the same. Do it. And speaking of Starfield, Em, have you played Starfield yet?
You know, I've played enough. I haven't completed the game yet. Why do you ask?
Well, Starfield is a game with a lot of choices in it, for one, and we haven't actually talked about this off air, so I was curious. Your character build in Starfield and other similar RPGs, to keep it on the topic of choice-based-ish games.
So how do I play in these kind of games is I find myself becoming kind of, I don't know, similar-ish to myself, but like maybe the more forgiving and generous version of me. I'm not particularly the person who's going to hand $5 to somebody who's just like, hey, I'm really needing $5 right now.
Yeah.
You could buy a copy of Mag for $5.
I could probably buy
They
five
go
of
for
them.
$5 for some reason. Like,
Wow.
I'm not
Well,
gonna,
I mean, you can't play it. You can't play the game.
I have a copy
gonna-
of SOCOM
looking it
Confrontation that you can't play that I had to spend $4 on.
Mag.
I just paid for the case. Anyway, Em, continue. You wouldn't give $5 to Brody for a copy of Mag?
I wouldn't give, right, so if Brody was like, hey, I just really need $5, I would go through the whole process of being like, do I really want to give him $5? Am I okay with the
You have a
fact
flow
that...
chart? You have an AI
Right.
flow chart in response
Yeah.
to someone a friend asking for $5?
Yeah, you know, and like, that's the first one. Is it a friend? And then we're on to a different flowchart. And then it's like, is it a stranger? Is it a friend that I like? Is it a friend that I don't like? Do they owe me
I was gonna
money?
say, how do you have friends? I was gonna say, how do you have friends you don't like? Like,
I mean, there's
What?
plenty of friends I have that I'm not particularly big fans of. I don't know what you're talking about.
then why are you friends with them? I don't understand. Hold on, that
Update
breaks
for
my
the-
brain.
Update for the video feed, or for the audio feed listeners here. Brody has put uwu anime cheeks, like blushing, on the copy of Mag.
Very
With
good.
the ahigeo mouth on it too.
Oh, fine.
Yeah,
So
let's go.
I think what you said, M, kind of comes into what I think a lot of players end up doing. From what I've seen and from some experience that has been shared by developers who make choice-based games, is that pretty close to universally, players, at least on their first playthrough, will always go the good, like the morally good route.
yeah.
Yeah. So I do tend to go maybe more moral than I am in real life. I'm when describing what I am as a person, I would say that I'm sort of prudently utilitarian. in that, like, I am looking for making wise and thoughtful decisions where the potential long-term for my own life is best, and I aim for the well-being overall of myself and others, right? Which is kind of this ethical theory and so on. But within that, I feel that I'm maybe more like willing in a video game to, for example, Dragon Age Origins, have the main character die in order to have the best ending. The best ending for the world, right? Where I will make sure that everybody it's good that I, in this game, died. That I gave my life for the people. Whereas in real life, I would not do that.
In real life, you send Faust to stop the...
Yeah, right? Like, of course, Faust, go take care of it. You're able to survive this, and if you don't...
Yeah.
You know?
God.
Yeah, so
I
like
love
there's
that
that kind of a disconnect, that sort of conflict that doesn't really happen in video games versus real life, right? Because like there's a big part of me that sort of indulges in the hedonistic theory that like pleasure is your primary and most important intrinsic good. So to give yourself over to this sort of a painful death just doesn't click with me. But in a video game, I feel that there's that sort of ethical thing there where I'm fine doing it.
It's more story based rather than personal based, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, perhaps even as the sort of hedonistic way of thinking of it, by doing that, I'm getting the joy and pleasure of being this sort of good person without actually suffering any of the negative side effects.
Which I think that's...
bad. No, I would say that's kind of how video games work as escapism. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah. And I've kind of find it kind of funny because like I'm very much like the kind of person who would give a random person $5 if they asked me for money. But like,
but in video games, I murder.
But in video games, like there are moments where I just choose to go the chaotic route where it's like, all right, I'm having a good time. This person just like said something really dickish to me, so like I'm going to murder him, whether in front of people or he's going to be off on the side somewhere. And it's the only thing that I don't really change my stance on is I don't like to hurt animals in any kind of game, whether that be RPGs or anything. I hate doing that. But then again, Skyrim just sends.
No, totally fair. I actually, just randomly, this is a total aside and unimportant for anything, but there was a friend of mine who I am not particularly liking, who we would play a video game, we would play The Division, and he'd shoot all the dogs.
Oh, yeah, no, I would. I
had a problem with that. Well, he's still my friend, but I don't really like him now, you see?
Oh, yeah, no, I would stop being friends. Like, if you would, no, there's something wrong. There's something... They are doing something illegal behind the scenes. You don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but they do. Look, are you listening to this right now, mystery friend? Stop.
I'm not saying your friend kills dogs in real life, but your friend...
No, I'm not saying that.
He kills dogs in real life.
But, go ahead.
No, I was just filling air. Sorry.
Oh. But, so, for me, I like to play, whenever it comes to, like, answering questions, I do very much go, like, how I would answer the questions in real life. Because I don't know, it's just away. Oh my, that is too realistic. That is too the spit on the tongue. What? No, it's too it's too wet.
Brody pulled out his mag for the audience.
This is it's too wet. Why is it white?
Why do you think? That's not even a good question, my guy. That's probably not spit, is the thing, Sean. Good.
You know, that's fine. That's fine. You know what?
We have fun here, I think.
Do we? Because when I go to sleep, like, I'm going to look, like, over my bed. It's not even going to be by my feet. It's going to be, like, by my glasses. And there's going to be, like, mag.
Copy of mag.
It's just a copy of mag just sitting there. In front of my glasses.
You're standing in a dark room. It's the PT hallway. You're standing in the PT hallway. You turn around. There's a copy of mag half open, like just standing there. Turn back. Turn towards the camera again. It's closer.
Very
can we make a horror game with a copy of Mag? Can we do that?
It's Maggin time.
I feel that you could grab one of the PT things off of like the Unity not Unity, the Unreal store, and just throw in Mag instead.
Oh my god, that is. I'm just looking at that, Brody. Can
one interesting thought that I had.
Yes, sir.
Based on what the two of you had said, and Brody, you as well, to a lesser extent, but something you said especially made me think when you said that you would be okay with your character like dying a moral death to save the world type thing.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen many roguelike choice-based games that have that possibility.
I can't think of any where,
and that's a really untapped market for.
Yeah,
it'd be really hard to do because you need to procedurally generate a lot of story beats or something. But could you imagine a game where you are forced to choose between yourself and an ally, but in choosing yourself, that character is gone forever, and it's not like a Walking Dead scenario where you switch characters.
Just your game is over.
Your game is over. You got to start over in a whole different segment of almost like a Dwarf Fortress, I guess.
There's. I was gonna say there's I don't want to get into spoilers because it's one of my favorite games, and I think it's something you really have to experience. That Nier Automata, the end of that is very the choices that you make in that game, especially towards the end, are so significant that they don't just matter for you, but they matter for other people. I'm trying to be as vague as I can, but
now that
is one of the few games that I think your choice matters, not just for you.
Now that I think about it, Undertale is also another one where there is a sort of all-affecting choice in that one. But it'd be an interesting thing to... Brody, can you put that mouth away?
It is. Yeah, I'm just staring at it.
I can't. I can't see anything else. It's making
just remember, Sean asked for this.
You're not wrong. Actually,
Sean
I can't
did.
even deny that. I did not do that.
Here's an interesting thought to the choice-based question. My characters usually tend to play similar to, at least on my first playthrough, how I would respond to a lot of situations, with exceptions for like if I want to do the most morally good option in that specific scenario, it might not be what I would do. Again, utilitarian in some cases.
Yeah, right. So I'm never, just to clarify, I'm not doing, some sort of a hardcore moral or immoral thing. I'm doing this where I'm looking at it thinking about whether or not this is the right choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes that does mean punching the kid in the face.
And that's going to go to what I was going to say as a follow-up to that is I do that, and then my character also tends to steal money.
I mean, that's fine.
Because that's where my brain crosses into video game chaos mode, I guess, where I'm like, well, these characters don't actually need this money. There's never been a persistent economy in one of these games in a way that stealing money from somebody might actually kill that character off.
Yeah.
And that money helps me progress, so it's one of those do evil for the sake of good scenarios, where I'm stealing this money because it helps me buy better gear so that I can then in the future do better good things for my character and the world.
Right.
And in Starfield, they actually play that way with your companions, because my companions tend to be my moral compass a lot of the time in these games, because I know I'm going to do the morally good thing at the end of the day, even if my character has to break a couple kneecaps to get there. But if I have a character with me that will judge a specific action, that's where I'm like, okay, well, what are they going to respond to that with? And go ahead.
That's why I think in Disco Elysium, Kim Katsuragi, your companion for that entire game, he is the most effective morality mechanic in any video game. Like, I think, period. Because you can go to like Fallout and be like, oh, if you steal money, you're going to get bad karma, so like it's going to like screw up your playthrough if you're trying to do a good one. And like that might kind of work, but then you can just be like, oh, well, I'll just do enough like good things to offset that. It's not really a big deal. But with Kim, it's like I want him to like me so badly that when he's around, I'm not going to do stuff that's going to piss him off.
Yeah, like there's actually incentive to do so rather than just and I'm like in Red Dead Redemption 2, there's you can get the good ending, bad ending, what have you, but like one way to just get your reputation high is just waving to people. Like I literally spent like 20 minutes one time just waving to people to get my morality all the way to the top.
It's a very Rockstar response to a moral video game karma question. Just have them wave a bunch; it'll work.
Yeah,
yeah.
It kind of just missed the mark in that respect. Granted, I did a lot of good things in that game, but at the same time, it was like, well, I just had to wave high, and people like me.
Yeah, and with Disco Elysium, it's also interesting because that specific game, you're playing as a character that's not necessarily a good person. Like, they have some predefined character traits to them from the beginning of the game that you can kind of rewrite that lore in-game yourself to some extent, but you end up finding yourself more in the shoes of somebody who maybe is an alcoholic who doesn't remember anything. And that's a huge testament to that game and its writing, that it can then put you in the shoes of, well, if I'm role-playing as myself, but I'm also still kind of playing as what this character would do, where do I conflate or conflict those two?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, because like definitely in my playthrough, I tried to be like, okay, let's put him through recovery. I'm not going to drink any alcohol. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm going to try to clearly he wants to be better, so let's try to make him better. And then in my second playthrough, I'm like, let's make him the worst version of himself he can possibly be.
I once played a character in Fallout New Vegas that was a raging alcoholic. Like, he got addicted to every stim at once.
God.
Good time. He was a good dude. He just liked his drugs. What were you going to say, Sean?
Whenever I played Disco Elysium, like I had the dude with like super high charisma, intelligence, and what have you, and no strength. And I was just like, I'm just gonna have this guy, drink, be friends with everybody, and everyone's gonna like him. But like the moment he had to do anything physical, it just went very downhill. He died in a chair. He died sitting down. And I was so upset, but I'm like,
same.
I was so upset, but I'm like, you know what? This is how he went. And then like I tried to change my whole play style. But you brought up like, making kind of like a shitpost character. Do you guys like to make those kind of characters? Because for me, like I've made Garfield in Elden Ring. I made a guy called Dr. Pappy Smear in Bloodborne, where I had my entire thing with him was I was just going to make him all strength, and I had him have like a violent past background. And his entire play style was just strength. I had his strength up to 40 before I put any points in anything else. And yeah, I guess Bloodborne isn't, very choice heavy outside of, a few instances where you talk to NPCs. But he was just, the entire time I played as him, it was just he would kill everybody, didn't care. NPC did not matter. So I was just curious if any of you do any of those types of builds yourselves.
I think it depends on the game and how much content there is on the other playthrough of said game, because usually when I'm playing an open world game, I tend to do as much of it as I'm going to do, and then I stop and I will probably never play that game again because I've done it all. So it's tough for me to want to go back and make a meme character. Usually my character has a stupid funny name or some stupid characteristic. Like I made Beater Griffin as my Starfield character. He looks like kind of a mixture of Peter and Joe Swanson, but there's nothing about his character that is based on him, like on Peter or on Joe. It's just kind of I couldn't think of a fun name, so I made him that. I wouldn't go and then make an all melee build character in that game. Or like I did it once in Fallout where I made like a thrown weapons character, but only because New Vegas added a bunch of thrown weapons into the DLC. There's not enough choices in a lot of these games for me to want to go back and role play that way. Outside of like in Outer Worlds, if you make your character really, really stupid, or New Vegas, then you can play an idiot character and you can role play completely differently because those games have really good writing.
Yeah.
It's really special when you actually the game makes it worth it to do that, and it's rare that happens.
Yeah, and it helps in Outer Worlds that it's only 2/3 of a game, so it's easier to get through.
Like my first Mass Effect character was named Jim Belushi Shepard, but Jim Belushi was one word as his first name, and I made that at my friend's house because he just had a copy of it and he wanted me to try it out. And years later, he made that his D&D character. In like one of my campaigns, he's a paladin just named Jim Belushi Shepard. Oh no, sorry, it's Jim Belushi Chill Person because he's chill, and that's his whole deal. I don't know, but that I made me think of it because I think like the type of game that I'm most likely to actually pick a role playing stance on it is just straight up D&D. Like if I craft a character from scratch and I kind of know what they're about, it's a lot easier for me to actually role play them and get into their shoes than if I'm doing it in like a game character creator, which is generally like just kind of limiting.
Yeah. Em and I have done a couple one shots back in the day where we both very much played the role of our characters, and it's just easier in a tabletop game like a D&D or a Pathfinder, because there's actually endless possibilities. It's just about how creative everyone is.
Yeah. You know, I don't really play meme characters or second playthroughs either. I generally, when I'm playing these games, I go into it and I want to play a single well-done story. I want to go through and experience the story that they come up with, and I almost never go back and create another character and experience it differently. That means, you know, both the good and the bad. So if somebody dies or I fail something, then that's done. In Baldur's Gate, for example, since we brought that up, I immediately double woned on saving Gage, and so he's dead. He's just dead. Or
Gale?
Gale. Yeah, he's just dead. He's dead in my game. He died immediately, and he's just not there. And I'm not going to go back and save him in another game. That's just not going to happen. He's done for me, you know?
Yeah. Like,
go ahead, John, sorry.
I was just going to say, Baldur's Gate, like, really works in that respect, because, for instance, like, I have 3 playthroughs going on right now. One was one I'm doing on Twitch. One's my own playthrough. And another is with 2 of my friends where we're just playing as bards. All 3 of us are bards. And we're making everyone else in our camp bards. I actually based my character off of Nico. Fun fact, I didn't tell him that. But I was like, what would... But anyway, I'll show him one day. But, like, as I'm replaying it...
in that game?
Yes.
I mean...
Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway,
does he take his shoes off in the house when he goes indoors?
Oh, he has no shirt and no shoes. Anyway, I'll show a picture of him later on. But like, I'm having different conversations, different story beats, and I think that's a testament to these role playing games, is that you can go so many different routes and have a different experience. Like in my actual playthrough, there comes a point where you're supposed to like either attack a goblin camp, be friends with them, so on and so forth. There came a point where I had everyone who liked me. I had druids like me, tieflings like me, the goblins liked me, and then everyone was like, well, you have to choose one of us to take out because like you have to. Whereas my other friends, they were like, yeah, we didn't really have a choice. It was just, hey, we have to attack these people, and that was that. But like for me, I was able to become friends with everybody, talk to everybody, get all these different and new interactions, and I was able to get an owlbear without having to do anything horrible to get an owlbear, which was very surprising. But I think that's a testament to role-playing strengths. And obviously, you know, people have been comparing Baldur's Gate to Starfield, and I think that's very unfair because they're both.
It's unfair to both of them. It's unfair to both. But Baldur's Gate is not. I mean, Baldur's Gate is never going to be this sort of incredibly first-person whatever thing going on there. You're not really telling your story. You're playing in the story that's there, right? And like, yeah, you can make some changes, but it's not whatever. And you're never going to mod it like you're going to do with Starfield. But at the same time, Starfield is never going to be the kind of systemic reactive game that you've got with Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
And I think that is one of my favorite aspects to role-playing games, is you can get so many different experiences depending on the game. And I just find that very unique because you don't really see a lot of genres that do that. I mean, well, you can, but like role-playing games, I think is so vast and vague that there are so many aspects and differences that makes a game so unique. But what was I going to say? I had a point. Yes, here's an idea. Okay, so it's my pre-workout. Shut up. So, and ADHD. So I talked about, kind of making a character based off of Nico. So I have a question for you guys. Crub members, all of us. If you could play as any Crub member in any video game, who would it be? What would be the video game? Yeah, there you go. Brody, go.
I didn't expect to go first.
Fine.
I'd play as Chris in Sonic the Hedgehog, and I would make him do all the things that he likes to do. I would make him roll up into a ball and go, wee!
Just the original Sonic?
Does he not like
Sonic Adventure?
No, Sonic Adventure.
No, Sonic Generations.
Oh, we have classic Chris and modern Chris?
Yes, that way Chris can go in there and he can have the nostalgic tribute.
I was gonna say, you know what? Man, I was hoping you'd say Sonic Unleashed.
Chris had a rough transition to 3D.
God.
Yeah.
God. You know what?
Before we jump further into that Crub question, there was one thing I wanted to throw out, which was related to what you said, Em, about not going back to play a story multiple times. There's one game, and I want to say that the name is Landstalker on the Genesis.
Okay.
It was not story driven, but it was based on your character's actions. It was like a isometric action RPG type game. It had 5 different campaigns that would each segment off at a certain point in the story and had genuinely completely different stories. One of them was like an arena fighting game that they just worked in as like one of the bad endings. You get stuck in the arena and you have to fight your way out. And games that do stuff like that are not worth it to make financially. But I love games like that.
No.
Yeah, no.
We've seen time and time again, right? Like every single study that's ever come out, every single piece of post-mortem that we've seen from these games, it all shows that some 95% of people just choose the good option without question every time.
Yeah.
They had to retcon Infamous lore because of that.
Still salty about that.
People just love
forever
playing
salty
as the good guy. There's a reason why, I wish there were more games where I could play as the bad guy. Don't happen because people just don't want that. They want the hero story. Yeah. And it's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't really want to have a gameplay experience that necessarily bankrupts the developers. I just want it to feel like it's something that's sort of bespoke to me. I think actually maybe the most bespoke option that I've played might be, and it's not, right, but the feeling would be The Walking Dead Season 1, where I felt that my choices were making a big deal. And they weren't, right? Like we know now that the actual number of paths that you can take there is like 3 and they're real close to each other. But it felt like as I'm going through the gameplay that I was making choices that were actually giving me a very personal story that I was experiencing. And that's really what I want, right? To go to one thing that you did mention, I thought of an example of a game where you can, in your choices, you can choose to die. And that is Cyberpunk 2077. There is an option. It's hard to get to, and you have to play in a very specific way, but there is an option where at one point in the game, Johnny Silverhand will say, if you just want to end this, you can not make a choice at all and just put a bullet in your head. And then you could do that, and your character dies, and that's the end of the story.
That was the Keanu blue pill meme coming out.
Yeah, like it's all straight up at that point.
Yeah.
I think they do exist, and they're not, whatever, but there's a difference between sort of taking that XCOM where your characters die and they're permanently dead. It's really difficult to take that and put that into a roguelike or put that into a game with a lot of choices.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult, and I'm not sure how you would do it, but it is really fascinating to think about, and I've been thinking about it since you said it.
if it does it, like there's a market for that will just blow the roof off.
Yeah, maybe it's making something that's sort of like 60 seconds, which I don't know if anybody remembers that game. Or this War of Mine, where like you do have to do certain things in order to keep yourself alive. You have to, play in a certain way to keep characters from not dying, but getting them to a point where it makes sense and it still can have a tight storyline around it. I don't know.
And I think Banner Saga is one I've heard great things about in that regard. Because it's a lot of I want to say it was a lot of the Mass Effect writing team came together on Banner Saga and developed a trilogy of games where, from what I understand, the story will carry over game to game to game in the way that people wanted Mass Effect to, but in a more it's a more D&D styled approach in that there's a lot of second person, you are reading what you are doing type, which is just how it has to be for those sorts of games.
It does.
Another game that I will say, and this is not similar to Walking Dead, but it goes back to that and what I was saying about how my morality in a lot of these games is based on my companions. Ghost of Tsushima did the karmic system in a way that was so much more interesting than any of the Infamous games, and I love those games besides 3. Because what they did was they gave you a ludonarrative. I gotta say the word. Take a shot. They gave you a mechanical. Do you have a shot to take? Oh God. They gave you a mechanical
it's water
counterweight to the story beats that your character can make, because the whole idea is your character is fighting internally with, do I do the honorable samurai method of trying to save this island from the invaders and die and watch people die and get pillaged and other words you can't say on these platforms, or do I go and break my customs, my sense of ethics and my moral code, because it means that people can be saved.
Yeah.
And he's constantly fighting that back and forth, again, depending on how you play. And by playing more and more and by leveling up, you get more of these abilities that you can unlock. And depending on what you choose to unlock, you're doing less and less samurai-like things that then make you feel a little more connected to the character, at least in my case, because you're doing things that are against his code, and then you later in the story continue to see him struggle with the fact that he is doing the things that you're doing. If you do play a very super samurai, like I'm just going to win style of play, then there's a bit of jank to that, because then you have a bit of contrived plot where it's, okay, well, I'm not really doing that many things that aren't super samurai. Like I'm not doing many like ninja-esque things, we'll call it.
Yeah.
I'm not cutting people's throats from behind more than a few times. And so that makes for an interesting like issue, mainly for really, really good players that can do that, because they make it hard to play like a samurai.
Yeah, they do.
And you can tell they learned from Infamous as they did these things, because they made all of it so subtle, to the point that there's not really a choice in that game until pretty close to the end. It's a very like, we are catering the story, and we will make you make a choice as your character at some point in the plot. We'll probably never know what the choice is. Like they wrote it in such a way that they can just ignore that and just have it be that your character in Ghost of Tsushima 2 did what you believe he did, you know?
Right. Based off of how you've played the game.
Yeah. And there's also a bunch of really cool stuff in that one that I'll just gush about briefly, which is like the cloud coverage and the weather patterns adjust based on how samurai or non-samurai you play.
Oh,
because
really?
In the actual invasion of Tsushima Island, in the same like in like they fictionalized it, because they said a typhoon. They said a typhoon stopped the invasion because it got in the way of them landing. So they retconned the history and said that Jin Sakai, the character, was the typhoon, and they wrote him out of existence in real life, is the implication. So the weather gets worse and worse and worse, so they blame the typhoon for why the Mongols left, rather than acknowledge the one samurai that broke the code. If you like,
cool.
like if you treat it as like a piece of like history.
That's cool.
And it's just neat, just a neat game that does that.
It has certainly been clear that it is one of your more favorite ones. You do talk about it quite a bit. And it has a lot of cool stuff in it, for sure.
Whenever I think about it, I'm just like fascinated by a lot of the ways that they innovated mechanically. And they didn't innovate narratively, but they did a bunch of cool things that I didn't think that studio was capable of. And for that game to have come out and been the swan song of the console makes me happy, because they're an underdog studio. So for them to just blow the roof off the joint. Ooh.
Before we go back to who are we going to put in each game? And I hate to harp on it, but I think maybe the best example we have of a choice-based game where people can die and things can happen is maybe Baldur's Gate right now, because there is, I think, 12 playable characters in that game, and you can kill all of them.
Yeah, everyone can die.
They can die, and they can die permanently.
Yeah.
And the story does change based off of killing some of these people. I'm not sure that fits perfectly into it, because you, as the player character, still cannot die. But there are certainly some examples of it that we're starting to see, at least now.
Yeah. So wait, what about like Until Dawn?
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's true.
Everyone can die in Until Dawn.
True. Yeah,
you're right.
That's closer to sort of like the choose your own adventure, or like visual novels, or like those kind of games. It's hard to say that the player character can die in that, and that it affects the story, because there really isn't a player character. There's just a whole bunch of people in a room, and you can kill some of them, or all of them, or none of them, right? Like it's more sandboxy, sandbox story, if you wanted to go there.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm still mad. Fun fact, in Until Dawn, I had everyone alive because I wanted everyone alive, and you're supposed to stay alive until 6 a.m. 2 people died from 5:50 a.m. to 5:53 a.m. because it told me not to move my controller, and I have ADHD, so I have to move. I'm like, yeah, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about that. But anyway. But no, that is a good point. Because it really is, like, we keep talking about choice, and you brought up Walking Dead. Like, the illusion of choice that they gave was so groundbreaking at the time. But then when you really, like, you got into it, you realized, oh, they're going to die no matter what I choose. So it doesn't really matter what I choose. But at the time, it was so monumental, and then they kind of drove that success to make other games. And I remember when they made The Walking Dead, the second game, the developers were so surprised by the choices that people were making, because people chose familiarity over the new characters that they were bringing in, and they were like, "Oh, this is actually really surprising." And then the writers themselves had to choose.
It was dumb. Yeah. Of course they would choose familiarity. Of course you would choose the people that you know instead of this random stranger.
Yeah. And like, even though they were like, oh, we brought you with this person for 2 episodes, like, yeah, I don't care. I want to get that person I like. I'm trying to be vague, because if you haven't played it, yeah. But
if you haven't played it, play season 1. Game. If you haven't played it, play season 1 and then stop.
Yeah, stop right there.
The true ending is the true ending is Clementine goes off and the apocalypse ends. I don't care.
I really like season 2.
But season 1 was so good. It was so
Season 1 was good. Season 2 had some very good moments. The ending that I got for season 2 was very hard hitting. Season 3, dumb. Hated it. I was like, this is stupid. I don't care about any of you people except for one person. And then season 4 was like kind of a mix between 1, 2, and 3's writing. But I like how it ended. Again, trying to be vague, because these are games that some people might care about. I did, so I don't want to ruin that for anybody.
Yeah, I never chose to play anything after 1. I was like, you know what? There's no way they're going to do it better. I'm just going to... The apocalypse ends the moment that game ends, and Clementine is nice and happy, and her parents come back, and everything's cool. That's it.
Everything works out.
I don't care. Yeah. Do not harm that child. I will kill you.
Yeah.
Don't clip that.
Don't clip it on YouTube. But yeah, I guess, well, now moving on to
yes, back to the Crub question. Brody, remind us of yours.
Yes.
I think I said putting Chris in Sonic and making him do all the Sonic moves, but like just the idea of seeing any human really try to contort themselves to speed boost across a ramp across half the map would be really fun, I think.
Is it 2D or 3D?
Well, Generations.
I was thinking 3D. Specifically, I was thinking Adventure because it's his favorite.
Do you think Chris would use boost gameplay or adventure gameplay? Now they could go either way.
He does seem like a booster.
Do you think Chris could homing attack?
Yes, 100%. But you can homing attack in Sonic 4, so that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, we could put him in Sonic Forces.
We could put him in Sonic Forces or Sonic 4, so he can walk up vertical walls at normal speed. Because then he's just Gravity Rush. Speaking of which, I would put Chris in Gravity Rush. Just for the outfit.
Throw him around, just make him go. I really like the idea of just making Chris go fast speeds, like through the air like a ragdoll. I think that's just the through line here.
If Chris
Okay, so he doesn't actually roll; he just kind of gets flopped. What's that game that was on?
It's like Metroid. He goes into ball.
Yeah.
What happened to Baby?
What was the game? It was one of the launch games on PlayStation 3, I think, when the PSN first came out, and you could, Pain,
Skate?
like Pain.
Oh, Pain.
Come
I would
on,
put Chris in Pain.
Chris like Pain, but it's Sonic, and he has to just keep being shot.
Chris in Pain would be good for all of us. Do you think if Chris rolls into a ball, do you think he would try it? Do you think he would go for?
I think he would try it. I think he would.
I genuinely thought you meant spin dash and not what you actually meant. Holy shit!
God. I cannot wait for him. He's gonna message one of us like, what the piss, guys?
Oh, that's right. He's gonna edit this. He's gonna hear everything.
Oh, it's so good. I cannot wait for that message. You know what? Oh, it's gonna be so good.
Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
Yes.
Who would your Crub member in?
Oh
game choice
boy,
be?
I kind of feel like we should go through all of them and just kind of talk about who we think it would be. I'm gonna choose Nico.
Okay.
And I would put him in Crypt of the Necrodancer. Because dungeon crawler, so it fits his sort of, Dark Soulsy, rhythm based.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he wouldn't be the character that doesn't have to play on beat.
Right.
Right, but he does have to dance.
He does.
And
the entire
sing.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, honestly, he does that anyway, so...
I feel like Hatsune Miku at that point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I would put him in Hatsune Miku at that point.
Hatsune Nico.
Yeah, we could do that.
We've made a Hatsune Nico image before. That exists.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure that exists.
I hope so.
I'm pretty confident that exists.
I'm gonna look into that later.
I could Nico in a rhythm game makes sense. I would have said like Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy?
Because that's a platformer.
Yeah. And it is a So the story, the lore behind Nico in Super Meat Boy is that is his perception, but then at the end of the game, it shows what he actually did, and it's just like jumping up two blocks.
It's one jump. It's the first jump.
One
in
jump.
Eternal.
Yeah, that's it. Just that one jump.
The Mario 1-1 pit that you fall into if you don't know how to jump.
So you complete the entire game, then it's at the end. It's like, here's what actually happened.
Yeah.
Believe it?
The idea of
he trips a little at the end.
The idea of Super Nico Meat Boy as a Rashomon story, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
I kind of dig that. I don't want to dig that, but I kind of do.
I would say Justin Infuser.
I was going to go with like like a Street Fighter or a Tekken for obvious reasons, I think.
So he just gets the shit beat out of him.
That would work too. I was thinking Fuser because then he would be a DJ pissing off thousands of people with horrible music.
Yeah.
Because he likes doing that in Fuser, so I think that'd be a good fit for him.
He makes some of the worst music in Fuser.
It is an actual affront to mankind.
So I don't know how he managed it. He's like, and here, I'm going to add this in, and instantly it's the worst thing you've ever heard.
We will never be able to stream it because it's all licensed music and the game doesn't exist anymore. I promise you, listener, made the brown note.
It is like his special talent to somehow ruin DJing. Like it is, he doesn't even mean to. It's just like, I'm just gonna put this together, and like within like 2 seconds, it makes me hate being alive.
It's always Blue Oyster Cult. That's always how it starts and ends. It's off key.
It's like offbeat and everything too, or like something's like a little too fast when it shouldn't be.
Hear Post Malone screaming, and then you have "Don't Fear the Reaper's" vocals isolated in the background, off key.
Yep.
Super slow with echo.
Yes.
It's so bad.
If we were gonna give him a different, what was that NBA fighting game?
Shaq Fu?
No.
Shaq Fu.
We could put him in Oscar Robinson's Supreme Court.
We could do that
on the Genesis.
That's
put
an
him
option.
put him in Telltale's Law and Order SVU.
As a victim? I don't think that's where he wants to be. What about Trav?
So Trav, okay, here's what I would put Trav. I would put Trav in The Last Guardian because there's a giant cat and he would just the entire time just cuss at it. But also like fall in love with it and do everything in his power to make things work. And he would just somehow accidentally figure out puzzles not meaning to.
I wish that game had voice controls.
Yeah.
Because then he could scream at Trico, calling Trico zippers while under the influence of something, playing the whole game. That would be incredible. That would be absolutely incredible.
He just sits down and laughs for like 20 minutes. That's part of the experience. You can't stop him. Like, even if
to be fair,
the controller.
The experience of playing that game, you don't need voice control. Like, it's going to happen anyway. You're going to say those things.
Yeah, I am someone who likes that game, and I cannot tell you how many times I yelled at my TV. Like, I would also put Brody in Mag.
I mean, that's just without question.
Now, is it one of me, or is it 256 of me?
No, it's you currently.
The world
so
can only handle
leave.
one.
Yeah. Even then.
Yeah.
I don't know about... Yeah, I don't think I'd want multiple Brodies.
Yeah, that's kind of terrifying now that I think about it.
Well, I would put Brody... If I were going to put Brody in anything, I would put him in Papers, Please. That way we could swap the normal colorful characters that he loves for dreary document checking.
So wait, so like, am I the guy doing the checking, or am I like one of the people trying to get through?
Yeah, you're the person who's doing the stamping, and
I love
it.
I'll just let everyone through.
I mean, you die.
Bomb the place, man. Go ahead, just get on through.
I'll either do that or I'll put Brody in Shadow the Hedgehog.
I like the idea of Brody in bureaucracy.
Yeah, right.
That,
like, I think that's
that's better. That is better.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
You're not going to whatever I said. Screw that.
As far as Wolf KO Sean,
that's me.
I'm gonna give you two options. All right.
I get to choose.
I think both of these are perfect for you.
Okay.
First, Quap. All right.
Okay.
Where instead of doing platforming like you normally love in games that you normally love, like Glover, you would have to struggle to walk.
Yeah.
Secondly,
kind of normal life.
Desert Bus.
All right. Let me meet you halfway.
Okay.
Between both of those ideas.
Okay.
Sean in Death Stranding.
Oh, that is kind of
then he would struggle to walk.
Yeah.
To walk. He would struggle to walk because of Quap.
Yep.
Yeah. He would be in an empty desert-like nothingness area.
Yep.
And he would have to piss a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a baby there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
what's your energy drink of choice, Sean?
I like Monster Import.
Okay.
Oh, Monster Import.
Yeah, I like Monster Import.
What is Monster? You know what? I'm sure it's a real thing, but it just sounds so fake. Who is it imported from? You can't just drink a regular Monster?
You hate America or something?
Why do you hate America, Sean?
You know why.
I bet if you were Sonic, you would do it.
God, you know how many people call me Shonic? I should not have said that on air.
Well, now a lot more.
Shonic.
Yeah, you definitely. That was a mistake.
Shonic. I like it.
I ruined everything. I hate.
And then I guess for Kevin, I would give Kevin Goat Simulator.
I thought you were going to say you'd give Kevin Goatsy.
No.
You know what?
No.
I would
give Kevin Goat Simulator because, as Kevin is wonderfully known for his comprehensive, in-depth reviews, placing Kevin in a nonsensical game with little plot or mechanics would contrast him perfectly.
I've played Croc, though. Like,
you have.
Like,
I would. Pikmin.
What, you would just make Kevin a Pikmin? Like one? Would it be a blue one? Or
no, I would put him in Pikmin. I want him in charge of things that die.
So he'd be Louis or what is it, Olimar?
Olimar, yes. I want him actually in the second game, the one that not a lot of people like.
So you want him to be Kevimar?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just like the idea of Kevin telling these little creatures what to do
You
then
could just
send
have
them
me
to
play
their death.
Mag with Brody and
Yeah.
send the army to his death. Like I could do
could.
that.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I want to bring back J-Tart9 real quick because I realized we really missed a very important game to put him in.
Yes.
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where did
Anyway.
we put M?
Yeah, I think I'm the
M,
last
what game-
one.
What game will we put M in?
Among Us.
Why?
We could put him in an Amogus lobby.
You just want me to die. What is this?
You can't just be like, Among Us. Death.
Among Us.
in an
Why?
Amogus lobby where he has open public lobby, but no one joins. So he's just in space by himself forever.
But he's the imposter.
Well, no, they don't even get into a game. He's just in the lobby.
Yeah. But like he's the imposter in the lobby. Like he's just like he
I have
wants
one.
to kill people, but he can't.
Hold on. I have the perfect one. Just hear me out. It's a game that not a lot of people think about. VIP featuring Pamela Anderson, but M is Pamela Anderson. There you go.
Do
$1
any
million.
of us have the frame of reference to even?
Oh, I can grab it. I have it.
What
You know
if
I'm
we
gonna
did?
grab it. I'm not even.
So
gonna
this
listen.
would
Grabbing it.
this would fit M's name because it has all of the same letters. BMX XXX. Because then it's naked M. So Sean is holding a copy of that Pamela Anderson game, but I hate to inform you, Sean, we have a better answer.
Oh, sorry.
BMX XXX, because it's all of M's letters from his brand, and he would be
It
naked
is.
bicycling.
I have that game also. I'm not showing that on camera.
Though the other thing is, then if we do that, then that game's like rated AO. I think it's at some point it was. So then we can't sell that. So that'd be tough.
Just put it on Steam.
That's true. You could
That's
just
true.
put
You
it
could
on
adult
Steam.
only a game on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do.
I'm looking at my games behind to see which ones I would put him in. I would like to see M in Nino Kuni instead of Mr. Drippy.
Wait, which one?
Instead of
The first-
Mr. Drippy.
Oh, I was hoping you'd put him as Nino
As the
Kuni
president
2, as
in
the
2?
president. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's put him in a shit game. That'd be a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Put him in Nino Kuni 1 because he would still not like any of it.
Yeah,
But
no,
he'd be a
absolutely
little Scottish boy with a huge nose who's just hanging dong with his nose.
No song.
I think that would work. I think that would work pretty well.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm into that. I vibe with that.
It's all British. You
Yeah.
have to suffer through that.
It's just making, yeah. Instead of actually killing you, we're going to make you suffer.
Kevin, I'd put you in Rough Trigger in the Vanacore Conspiracy.
I know you would.
I didn't know you would do that.
I would put.
Where you go? Go on.
I
go
would.
on.
Sean, I would put you in Shower with Your Dad Simulator.
So is my dad there too?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But then you're putting two people in the game.
I think
Well,
that's
no,
fair.
your dad was already in the game, so you're
Yeah.
showering with him.
Oh, so
Yeah.
that's why I haven't seen him in a while. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
He's trapped in the television universe.
Yeah. In case my dad actually is listening to this, I'm sorry.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
not.
Dad.
Ooh,
sorry.
I know. I'd put M in Hey You Pikachu, but like I'd still be the player. He'd be the Pikachu.
Ooh, that would make sense because he only knows Pikachu's name of every Pokemon.
Pikachu's name of every. What is?
I've learned do Dunsparce, which is great. What a cool
Oh,
Pokemon.
I love
That-
Dunsparce.
No, do Dunsparce.
Yeah, that's the evolution.
Which is,
Yeah.
is one of the coolest Pokemon ever. It's hilarious and great, and everybody should love him. And then Hisuan Zorua, which is also great, and I love
Oh
it.
yeah, that one's
You
actually
got
pretty dope.
you got both of those pronunciations wrong. That was impressive.
I'm
Yeah.
good at this thing.
It's very, very. I can't wait for you to like Char Izard.
Charizard?
I like M in Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah,
Hey, you
actually,
Pikachu.
I think that's the perfect one.
Or
I wanna
no,
yell at
M
the
in
Dragon Apple.
Let's Go Pikachu, because then the
Oh.
players are throwing their controllers at the TV to try and catch him.
God, the entire time.
He's just causing
I
constant
mean, he
pain.
is shaped like a Pokeball.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
kind
like,
of is a
it's right
Master
there.
Ball. He has the M.
Yeah.
He has the Majin Buu Master Ball kind of thing going on.
Excellent.
Put him in Dragon Ball Fight. No, you're not Dragon Ball Fighters. You need to be.
He'd be
be
Yamcha.
Pikachu.
I'd be Piccolo.
Very good.
So moving along to our Patreon question of the week for this week's episode. As a reminder, if you go to patreon.com/Crub, you can join our founder tier for as little and currently only $5 a month, which gives you access to all of the things that will be more expensive later on down the road once we close that founder tier. All founders will keep all of those perks, including things such as exclusive discussions, the exclusive streamed version of these episodes, because we do stream these live with a pre and post show where we hang out, talk to chat, and do a bunch of fun stuff, and shoot the shit with chat. So you'll get all of those pre and post show VODs, exclusive content, a lot of audio content that we already have recorded. I think it's up to like 25 hours of extra content already and growing. And you get access to all of that, as well as the Patreon question of the week form, where you can submit a question for us to answer live on air. And this week's is mostly for Brody, because it's a question for Brody from MickJaeger, who asks, since you liked Borderlands so much, what were your thoughts on Battleborn? Personally, this is Mick talking here, I think it was noteworthy just for staying online for over 5 years despite its performance. You would never see that nowadays.
We should cut right here. What can you say about Battleborn?
I think you can say quite a lot about Battleborn.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, I mean, with Gearbox has proven themselves time and time again. Oh God, no! Put me in Mag. If you're like Gearbox has proven time and time again that they can only make one game. They can't make any other games. They can make Borderlands, and that's it. They make that one. They make it good.
I heard you talking shit.
God. Like Battleborn, and I think it was supposed to be like, oh, it's in the Borderlands universe. I remember there being like, they're hinting at Prometheus, the planet, like within that game and stuff like that. And so like, I kind of had it a little bit on my radar just because of that. And I think I played like the beta whenever they did that. I didn't get the actual game because, I mean, they sent that game out to die because it came out like what, a month within a month of Overwatch, give or take.
It did. Yeah.
Like that, and I know it's a MOBA, so already it's more invalid than any other game. Like it's, I don't know, what is there else to say? It's bad.
I don't think so. No, I don't think it is bad. So Battleborn, I think, was a very interesting game that later on, the genre that it tried to create is in a single-player hero MOBA. And Overwatch wasn't that. I think that the mistake that Randy made there was trying to make it it's Battleborn or Overwatch. And that was not smart. Because they weren't the same game, and Overwatch was better at being the game people thought it was. And then you get into Battleborn and be like, oh, okay, so I'm in a hero shooter now, right? And no, you're not. You're in a third-person, over-the-shoulder MOBA, which is nothing like Overwatch at all. You don't have creeps. You don't have, and now they've kind of with the robot that pushes things back and forth thing in Overwatch 2, they kind of have a little bit kind of similar to a MOBA, but at that point with the base of Overwatch, you had very clear 6v6 hero shooter. There was absolutely zero of the MOBA stuff in there that I thought Battleborn was doing that was very unique. It was very interesting, and I think that their mistake was not making, a good game, because I think it's a fine game. I think it was a perfectly playable game. Yeah. I think it was in positioning it as either you're playing Overwatch or you're playing us. I played.
Would you say that was Randy's biggest mistake?
Well, no, he's made so many.
Yeah.
He's made so many.
I actually... Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I actually bought Battleborn. And I played it for a little bit, and what I played I kind of liked, but again, this is whenever Overwatch came out, and all of my friends were playing Overwatch, because again, it was Overwatch versus Battleborn. I'm going to go where my friends are playing, where my friends are actually doing competitive stuff, so I want to go do that. And Battleborn had potential, which really upsets me. It was an alright foundation, but like you said, when it became Overwatch versus Battleborn, you lose. Like, it's simple, because everything Overwatch did in the beginning, like, its popularity was ridiculous back then. I mean, people still play Overwatch 2. I still play Overwatch 2. it hurts to admit that sometimes because it's, but like that's how big Overwatch was back then. Like people still play it because of their memories, because I'm a stupid idiot who can't let go of the past.
Yeah, if Battleborn had instead been positioned as a MOBA, where you are playing, over-the-shoulder MOBA, and it had been given maybe free-to-play, maybe some sort of a premium package, but more geared towards not $60 game, right? Mm-hmm. And had not been positioned as, oh, do you want to play this hero shooter or that one? I think it would have fared a lot better, at least.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's brought up as since you like Borderlands, though, because I don't think that it's very similar to that either.
Well, it's just the association with Gearbox and technically maybe being in the Borderlands universe, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about Greedfall, Brody?
Yo, Greedfall is pretty cool. I like Greedfall.
I don't care. I don't think I have any thoughts on Battleborn at all, so
I'm going to give you my copy.
Give Brody. He's collecting these.
No, please.
Brody, send me your address right now.
No. Air. Read it off.
No.
So once again, that's our Patreon question of the week. For as little as $5 a month over at patreon.com/Crub, you can submit your own questions for us to answer live on air. Or if you would prefer to not use Patreon for whatever reason, we also have YouTube channel memberships. It's the same thing as the Patreon. It's a little bit more expensive because YouTube takes more money, and that's not cool, so we have to even it out somehow. But you can also join within YouTube and get some fun emotes for the live streams and whatnot, and even your YouTube comments if you want to leave some of those with some fun Nico or Trav emotes, amongst others.
Oh. Yeah, they're pretty fun.
Are they fun? You sure?
I mean, I have them.
That sounded accusatory.
You don't have them because you're not a channel member. Mods don't have them.
I have it on Twitch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it still counts. I just remember... I'm going to cry later, all right? Thank you.
Can you record it?
What else?
We can put it on Patreon.
For $5 a month at the founder tier on Patreon, you can get raw audio of Sean sobbing into a microphone while eating a crunchy peanut butter sandwich.
That's not something we'd give away for free.
Yeah, we have to sell that shit.
Yeah, that is... It's really, really
Can we
high
put that
quality.
on Patreon? Would you do that?
Yeah, I would.
All right. That will be on Patreon.
It'll at some point it'll go on Patreon. Do we have any other thoughts about the choice-driven games subject for today's episode?
I had a random thought, and I just want to throw this out there to see if this is even an interest for anybody. We were talking about RPG and player choices, and it kept going back to like D&D and tabletop. I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of there possibly being some kind of like Crub D&D thing. I don't know why that just came to me, and also this is pre-workout ADHD brain going, but I don't know. I don't know. It just made me think like, oh, this would be like really cool to have everybody just in a D&D thing. It doesn't have to be like us playing, but I mean just in general, like if someone just put us in a D&D game and just watch what would happen.
I am pretty certain that will happen at some point in life, because I think we've talked about it off air before, and now that we're live on the podcast, we can't say no. So the answer was already gonna be probably, but now it's definitely probably. So
now it's a 82%.
Yeah, which it's XCOM rules, so it's gonna miss, but we'll still do it. I think we've all talked about how we want to do something D&D adjacent at some point, because putting any handful of us in a room, like a Discord call together, and saying go nuts usually leads to some good things or the Crubcast, one of the two. So, yeah.
Which are mutually exclusive concepts.
So we're in the evil route. We're in the evil route then.
This is the karmic bad version of us not doing D&D.
Oh, well.
This could have been a game, man. We could have been doing a D&D game every week on Tuesday.
God.
If we do that one more time, patreon.com/Crub, you guys will get it first. Yes. So with that said, I think that's where we're going to call it for today's episode of the Crubcast. A little bit of a shorter episode today, not by much. And we still got a lot done, including a lot of stuff that Chris might end up having to edit out.
Yeah.
Depending on his own feelings.
Yeah.
I'll give him a clean outro here. Thank you everyone who's tuned in to this episode of the Crubcast. Again, you can find us at youtube.com/@crubofficial. Go to crub.org for all the audio versions of this podcast. Leave a like, leave a nice review. You can leave a bad comment. We'll see it. We probably won't care, but you can be mean. We're all used to it.
Yeah, help me cry.
Tell your friends to subscribe to the Crub YouTube channel and subscribe with all of your 400 alternate accounts as well, because we are shameless. We don't care. Just subscribe. Please.
Number go up.
Anybody else have any final things they would like to say or anything coming up they want to pre-plug? M?
Oh, well,
I don't know if yours will be out by then, but
I don't think mine will be out. But I'm working on a 12-hour-long video that should be out at some point here in the near future, and it'll be accompanied by a 14-hour-long podcast.
At least, if not longer.
Yeah, so that'll be out in the next couple of weeks
on the Crub community post feeds and whatnot as well. So we'll tell you when that's going to arrive, because it is a behemoth that I think most of Crub has contributed to in some capacity by this point.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah. Brody, are you going to get the mag servers up or what?
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone should go, this is my new project. Go tweet at Sony, #BringMagBack256.
Gosh, I love that.
Sean, do you have anything coming up that you would like to toss out? Or
Yeah, I have an over hour-long retrospective on Sly Cooper coming out, and it's a lot of fun. And that's it.
Hell yeah. I have a bunch of videos. I'm not going to plug any one of them because I don't know which ones will be out by the time this podcast comes out. But if you want to see me go through such wild choice-driven games like The Sims PSP, a game that did the Would You Kindly before BioShock, you can do that. I'm not going to force you to, but you know where to find me, and I know where to find you.